Yeah, I think we're live. It looks like we are live. Hello, hello. How is everybody doing? I don't know why. I refresh myself and I never see and it says I'm live. Okay. Let me share this real quick. 2 seconds. All right, here we go. So, how is everybody doing today? So, today we are talking about, while I try to find my live, we are talking about, so weird. It says I'm live and I can never find myself. Drop me a link if you see me. Anyway, we are talking about the one thing. I see myself here. Anyway, we are talking about. But why don't I see it on the actual page? So weird. Every time you use Facebook, something new happens. Like right now, I cannot see this live on my page at all, only in my little profile. Which means I can't forward it. So frustrating. Give me 2 more seconds. See if I switched accounts, if it'll let me see it. Okay, here we go. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Uh, wow, this is so crazy. I'm so sorry. I need people to help me do this. Okay. I'll forward it to the other one later. All right, so we are live. How is everybody? Hate starting like that every time. Sorry. All right. Let's share screen. So today we're talking about the thing everybody comes to me and says, what? I am stuck in the sea of sameness. How is it that I can pop out of that sea of sameness? There's a couple of things that we definitely do. And the way that I work with my clients is, in a nutshell, moving you from expert, you're all experts in what you do, moving you from that to thought leadership. And in that journey, you're building your personal brand through organic content. So hopefully that's clear enough. And there are a million and one reasons why I want to say I believe, but I'm going to say why I know that that's the best path. And the reason, a lot of the reasons, but a couple of the reasons real quick off the top of my head are, number one, a lot of coaches get started in this business and they don't build a business. They just look for clients. So yes, you need to have income. You need to have money coming in. I totally get that. And there are ways to do that. But at the same time, you need to be building a foundation, a place, assets, things that you can call home. So for example, Elevate and Engage is a show that I do every Thursday. So if somebody ever Googles what I'm doing and they can see that I do the same show every single Thursday, for somebody not in my world, they're going to look and be like, wow, she has a show that she does every single Thursday. I've literally had people come up to me. Oh yeah, I've seen her show before. So that's the type of thing that you want to do. You want to have people recognize you. You want to have people be able to see who you are and what you're all about pretty quickly, right? So content really helps do that. And it also builds assets along the way. All of these episodes are master classes. I can save each one of these, maybe add a couple of things to them and probably sell them, or I could add them on the back end, whatever. Very easily. They're all master classes in their own right. I could add workbooks and handouts, calculators, whatever it is that I need to make it an entire thing. Maybe chop it up so it's shorter, whatever. So you get what I'm saying? Even if you feel like, oh, what you're doing is in vain and nobody's looking, they are looking. They are looking. I was talking to somebody the other day about going live in somebody else's group. And the problem with going live in somebody else's group is you can't see what's really going on. You know, as much as I know, that when you go live in somebody else's group, there's very little engagement and interaction. However, remember, one of the main reasons you do what you do when you're building your personal brand, all of the content, is to build that brand awareness. So what you really need is somebody seeing you all the time talking about the same type of stuff. So just because they're not interacting and engaging, with a comment or a like, doesn't mean they're not seeing you. And on the back end, the owner of the group, and if you own a group, you can see this in your own group, you can see how many people have actually seen it, like in LinkedIn. You might have a post that looks like nobody really engaged on it, but then you look and it got, 100 views or something, or 1,000, I don't know what stage you're at, but 10, whatever. You need to start thinking, okay, maybe this one video isn't going to build my business, obviously. Maybe this one show isn't going to build my business, but this combined with this, combined with this, combined with this, that is what builds your business. And by building that entire web, which is what you're doing when you're building your personal brand, by building that entire web, people are now starting to recognize you, know you, like you, and trust you without ever even getting into a conversation with you. So today you may not notice it, maybe not even tomorrow, but in 3 months from now, if you are consistent in what you're doing, you're going to have people coming to you that you've never even spoken to in a DM saying, hey, I've been following you for a while. I really want to know more about what you're doing. That's the way it works. So with that said, when you look out in the sea of sameness, there are very few people here. And as I say it, okay, you don't need to be here at the very top. You don't need to be an Amy Porterfield, a Gary Vaynerchuk. You don't need to be there. Alex Hormozy. You can be here. And are there a lot of people here? Depends on what you say are a lot. I mean, I can't name like 30 off the top of my head. I mean, do I have 30? Yeah, probably. I mean, probably way more than 30, but I can't name 30 off the top of my head like I can an Amy Porterfield and Alex Hormozy, those types of people. So what does that mean? That means there's room, there's space right there for plenty of people. And the difference between this and this is effort. It's content. It's putting yourself out there. It's the amount of times somebody sees you, the amount of times they view your post. Doesn't mean that they've interacted with you. So this is what's really, 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 truly important when you're going out there. And I know it's frustrating at the beginning, and it's you're feeling crickets. And right now, so even we're going to get started in a second, but even more so right now, people are dropping out of the scene left and right. Why? Because they're not getting traction. They can't make a living doing this because they never build that foundation. So they may have been a coach for the last 3 to 5 years, right? A lot of people came out during COVID and everybody was a coach. But what does that mean? You've got the expertise, right? You've got the expertise, but so do all these other people. How are you going to stand out in that crowd? How are you going to bring yourself, pop yourself right up to here? And the one way you can do that is through your personal brand and being authentically you. Letting people know, like, and trust you, letting them obviously hear your expertise. But keep in mind, we've got Google, we've got YouTube. That's not what people really, really, truly need, right? They need a little bit more touch, interaction, one-on-one. I do hybrid, like with group. They want all of that. They want you. And so how can you give them that? And then if you think about this, if you're talking about a Gary Vee, an Alex Hormozy, he doesn't even do clients, so let's not even talk about him. Gary Vee, really not. Amy Porterfield, maybe. But even if you're in Amy Porterfield's world, I mean, how often are you really interacting with her? Not that often, right? So you guys have a very big opportunity. And if that's not your field, whatever field you're in, fitness or whatever, you have a big opportunity to stand out with access alone, plus your personality, your personal brand, and everything else. So think about ways that you can really get in the field. Anyway, what I was saying before was people are dropping out of it left and right now. The buzz of COVID and staying home and everybody being online has died down. And now it's work. Now it's work. Now you have to actually go out there and get it. It's not just like everybody was online and wanting to do something and spend money, and it's not that anymore. So now that bubble has burst, who's left standing? Because if you're one of the ones that is still left standing and you're still here, what you need to figure out is how to get here. And I'm telling you, there have been coaches around for years that are in this mode still. And that's okay. If that's you, zero stress. All you need to do is figure out how to get here. And it doesn't take nearly as long as you think it does, but it is work. All right, so let's dive in today to what we have going on. Share my screen. Hold on, I don't think I opened it. Hold, please. Let me pop this open. The other thing is that two things at once. The other thing is that there's a lot of mistrust going around because people were just saying they were coaches and had no idea how to coach, right? There's a big difference between having an expertise and knowing how to coach. There's a big difference between having your own proprietary methodology that you take people through. Like I have my STAR method that I take people through, and I know the journey you need to go through. I've been doing this since 2007. There's a big difference in that and just coming on the scene and making something up and saying, hey, let's do this. Which, if you're new, you're new, but don't sell people into thinking that, you have had years of experience or that you know what you're talking about. Be honest in where you're at and what you're doing and how that's going. All right, let's jump into our presentation. Let's see, share screen. All right. Oh God, I hope I didn't open up the wrong one. Hold on. Stop share. I know. All right, here we go. You guys think I'm crazy. Hold on. There's all right, here we go. Here we go for real this time. All right, authenticity unveiled. 7 steps to crafting a brand that is uniquely you. How are you going to stand out? How are you going to pop up from here to here? It's by being uniquely you, by building your personal brand and by being you. Nobody else can be crazy like me. Nobody else is going to, maybe get on here and think that they can still do this, even though they fumble and mumble every single time. It's just who I am. And you either bear with me and wait until I get it together and still watch the training. Maybe you wait till afterwards and fast forward a little bit. Or you're like, oh my God, she's so annoying. And you never watch the training. That's cool. Both ways are great. Why? Because I don't want to work with the people that can't stand how I am or who I am. I want to work with the people that crack up every time I do something crazy. I want to work with the people that bear with me because they know that what's coming on the other side is gold. That's who I want to work with. And I want No problem if those other people jump off, right? All right. If you saw this, when I first put it up, it was 6 steps. I changed it. And you know why, right? So get your pen and paper out. Let's rock and roll. We're going to talk about what those steps are. It's an acronym today. So if you want to try to guess on it, put it down. It's 7 steps. So in case that's a clue, I lost a page on mine. All right. La, la, la. All right. So what makes you different? If you're live, I want to see a hashtag live. If you are, if you're not live, if you're hashtag replay, do hashtag replay. But either way, let me know, what do you think makes you different? What makes you you? Why would somebody want to work with you if you're a fitness coach, say, right? If you're a fitness coach and there are 50,000 other fitness coaches that, you know, are somewhere, some way, you know, Kevin Bacon, 6, what is that? 6, whatever, you know how you're linked to somebody and at least 6 steps or whatever it's called. Anyway, whatever I'm trying to say. You're linked to probably 50,000 other fitness coaches in some way, shape, form, or another. So what makes you different? What makes you stand out? Write it down below. Just, you know, give me a couple of words. Give me a couple of reasons that you think somebody would hire you over somebody else. All right, let's dive in. So, pen and paper. T is your first word. Letter. T, trust your values. Do not second guess yourself. There are a lot of people that will try to make you second guess yourself. And maybe they don't do it consciously. Maybe they do it, you know, because they're trying to be nice, because they care, because of anything else. But whatever your values are, make sure that before you jump into anything in life in general, but definitely your business, that you're solid. You know exactly who you are and what you're all about. That is the thing that's going to keep you moving forward. That's the thing that's going to keep you being you, acting as you, authentically you. That is the thing that you always want to come back to. So have you ever done one of those value? There's a bunch of different ones. Some people like this one, and I can't think of the links right now, but some people like this one that takes you through this quiz. I actually don't like that one. I don't think it's a really good one. I personally just like the one, the values one, where they list like, I don't know, 500 values or however many it is. And you go through and eliminate until you get to your top, however many you want, top 3, top 5. I love that because you know what your values are. Once you start looking at them and eliminating them and trying to really get it down to an amount, it's valuable. And if you know what your values are, that is one of the things that you want to tell people. I know that, you know, curiosity, for example, is one of my things. I will investigate, I will research, I'll look and study, send myself back to school. I love all that stuff because I'm so curious, right? I ask a lot of questions and it's who I am and what I'm all about. If number one, that's the type of person that annoys you, then you don't want to be around somebody like me, right? But if you're not that curious type, then don't try to be that curious type just because Erica is. That's not who you are. You don't have to be that person. Your values are your values, and they're what make you unique and you. So even if at the beginning, we all follow some mentors, right? We all want to emulate like what somebody's doing. And that's okay. I totally get that. We've all been there. We all do that. However, when you are doing that, I'm just noticing that my cool little slides that I'm in Canva don't show up as cool on here. I hope they all show up. Anyway, when you're emulating somebody, just try to keep in mind, like, is this who I am? I would even write them down, keep them near you, especially the newer you are. And the more you're emulating others at the moment, just keep those dear to your heart because those are the things that are going to run exactly what you're doing. With that in mind, Gary Vee is one of those. I love Gary Vee, you know, love him or hate him. When I first listened to him, I couldn't stand him. But then for whatever reason, there was something about him that kept attracting me. And now I just love him. He's genius. Anyway, one of his things that he gets a lot of flack for is that hustle, hustle, hustle. You have to work, outwork everybody else and, put in 18 hours a day, whatever, whatever, whatever. And I get that. And there have been a lot of things on LinkedIn lately about, how that hustle mentality is wrong. Is it? Now, here's where I want you to like, just take a step back for a second. Is it wrong for you or is it wrong for me? That's a big difference, right? It's not wrong. I mean, maybe if you're working 16 hours a day, you have grown kids. Maybe that's the case. Maybe your wife is in on it and, you guys get together during those 16 hours and have lunch together, your husband or whoever. I'm talking about Gary Vee, so his wife. Maybe that's how they hang out together. They go over ideas together or they exercise together, whatever it is. Maybe they figured out a way to have those hours together. Maybe he takes a day off a week. Maybe he takes, 3 weeks of vacation, whatever it is. You don't know all the rest of the story and you don't know where he gets those quality minutes from. But I believe we all go through seasons. So maybe in your life, it is that hustle, hustle, hustle. But in somebody else's life, they've just had babies. Well, do they want to work 18 hours a day? No. And if you're the one that just had the babies, trust your values. If your priority and your values is, family is always going to be your values somewhere. I get that. But combine that with your priorities, right? If you know that you just had babies, don't beat yourself up over not working 18 hours a day, right? Whereas maybe the kids are now in school and you're like, okay, I can get back to working. Family is still a value, but now you want to work maybe not 18 hours a day. Maybe now you want to work 12 hours a day. Okay, how can you take that time out when your kids get home from school? How can you make sure that you go to that soccer game and add those quality times in when you want to add those quality times in so you still have the value in there? It doesn't have to be the perfect balance. So when you say trust your values, they're your values, not somebody else's. And always mix those values in with your priorities because they're going to change over time. Your values are not probably the same today as they were. Your core values are probably the same, but the priorities change where those values lie, right? And maybe even your core values change a little bit, but for the most part, depending on what your priorities are, those values are going to go up and down and where you're going to focus. So give yourself leeway, grace, whatever you want to call it. We all have different seasons and don't judge other people. We have enough going on in our own lives to waste time, energy, effort, looking at other people and seeing what they're doing. Don't stress yourself out about it, right? The reason I'm saying that is I saw this whole LinkedIn post the other day of people were roasting this guy and I was like, this is crazy. I mean, and then I spent too much time reading it. And then I was like, oh God, now I'm wasting the time watching other people waste their time. You know what I mean? Anyway, it was terrible. Everybody was roasting somebody for, putting in the effort. The problem is, as I said, the coaches are, leaving by the droves. So that leaves those of you who are really in it to win it. There's going to be a lot more, there's a lot more opportunity for you to break out of here and come here if you're willing to put in the effort, because most people are not. It's really not that big of a world up here because most people aren't willing to put in the effort, the consistency, the dedication. All right. Realize your audience. You have to know your audience. I always change the words a little bit to match my letters. Realize your audience. That's know your audience. You absolutely 110% have to know your audience. You have to understand who they are, what they're all about. Make sure that you're speaking directly to them. I'm trying to go into my group. Oh, not that one. You have to know who your clients are. You have to be able to where's my group? You have to be able to really get deep in their head. Give me 2 seconds. Just want to add everyone real quick. I'm in denial if you're laughing at me squinting. I like to pretend that I don't need glasses. One day you'll see me live with my glasses on, but that's why I write my words so big and know exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes I just use the pictures, you know. All right, anyway, realize your audience and get to know your audience. What's really in their head? If you are your audience, like for me, my audience is coaches. I mean, that's so easy for me because it's me. Most coaches have that little bit of crazy, that little bit of edge to them, the curiosity that takes them off on the tangent that, you know, they shouldn't have been off on, the, you know, squirrely part. A lot of my audience has that. So understand and realize what your audience wants, who they are, what they're after. Most of my audience feel like they want to do something that fulfills them in their purpose, in their passion. You know, I always say purpose and passion is 110%. That is when you can really shine, when you can really go out there, when you can really get it. And I think that we all somewhere deep in us have it in us that we really want that. But most people will never take the moment to think about what that even is. And most people that take that moment won't actually take that first step and move into it. So those of you that are on here have surpassed all of that. And there's a very, very minute percentage of people that will actually jump into who they're supposed to be, want to be, can be. And you're one of them. So once you jump in there, start thinking about who your audience is, because sometimes your audience isn't you. Sometimes maybe your audience is who you were 5 years ago. That's one of the big ones that everybody says, but maybe it's not. You know, maybe I know one of my clients is a fitness coach, and she coaches people who are in chronic pain, and she is like, you know, uber fit. So a lot of her clients are not uber fit people and don't even strive to, you know, win the contest or whatever. She won a contest a while back, but a lot of her clients don't strive to do that. They strive to be able to, you know, walk or stand up without excruciating pain. So she really needs to get in their heads and figure out, you know, what they're going through at that moment and how that feels and what they're missing out on and what drives them to want to take that step through the excruciating pain, whatever it is. So you really want to be able to get in the head of your audience. And remember, we're talking about standing out from the crowd. So if you're doing a lot of the superficial stuff, if you're chat GPTing like a lot of people are, right? You're not in their heads. You know, yes, chat GPT can help you figure out what's in their heads, right? But you have to really speak from the heart and really get into the you know, the stories of like what I just told of my client, that story. Those are the types of stories ChatGPT can't give you those. So bring those in with you. All right, TRU, can you guess? Drop it below if you're guessing. All right, unveil your story. Tell your story to everybody. Let people know who you are, what you're all about. I'm going to wait on this and do it in a minute, but unveil your story to people. Let people know who you are and what you're all about. When I first started really getting into personal branding, and this was years ago, telling your story was a really big thing. And I didn't do it because I didn't get it, to be quite honest. For years, I just didn't get it. I didn't understand. Like I did not have, you know, I don't know if you know Hal Elrod. He wrote The Miracle Morning. I love that book. But anyway, he's like almost died 3 times or has these crazy tragic stories. And whenever you hear people's stories, it's, you know, they have these horrible things that they've been through when they were young, or they've had these crazy car accidents like this guy has been through. I mean, cancer, I think 2 near-death experiences. I mean, just people have hard lives. I mean, they just really do. And my life, you know, people used to call us the Beaver Cleaver family. If you know who that is, you're my age. People used to call us the Beaver Cleaver family. You know, we loved hanging out together. We didn't have this horrible family. You know, I didn't have a tragic upbringing or anything like that. So I was like, what kind of story am I going to tell? I don't get it. So unveil your story. It doesn't have to be that tragic story. When I finally realized that, I was like, oh, okay. it's talking about, why you're passionate about what you do, what you got you started into it, what your story can be different too when you tell it. And it's not the same story every time. I told a story on LinkedIn the other day about one of the things that made me want to be an entrepreneur. Not what got me started in this, but way back, even way before this, what got me started in just the inkling of a thought, the bug, what got the bug, right? So all of that is your story. It's your past experiences, your stories. So it should say unveil your stories, but there's one or two big ones that got you started and passionate about what you're doing. And it does not have to be that big, horrible, I had this tragic story. It's your epiphany moment, the thing that was like that aha moment for you. And if you know anything about me, I did education for a long time. I still own a school, and seeing in a student's eyes like that, oh my God, I totally get it. That's what I call the aha moment, right? Seeing that light up in somebody's eyes, like, oh my God, I got it. I get it. I can move forward. Same thing in coaching. That is what drives me forward. I love it. When somebody realizes, there's that one aha moment for them, I've got this. When they feel that, and then they can start moving forward. I love that. I love that minute. I love that moment. Sorry, bless me. I love that. And that's what kind of drives me. So what's your story and what drives you? E, establish your style. So E for establish your style. What does that mean? You see me, I'm loud, I'm crazy. I've got the colors, my team, and the one who does my pretty graphic designs, like one behind me, I drive her crazy with my colors. She's like, they're like almost neon. And I was like, yeah, because to me, I love it. I try to do like some things I try to do. I don't know if I'm pointing at my logo, but wherever my logo is, I try to tame it down every now and then so that some of my stuff looks like normal people's stuff. But I'm loud. That's who I am. I mean, I try to tame it down. Obviously, if I'm in church, I'm not going to be screaming at the top of my lungs. So I know when to tame it down and when not to tame it down. But when I'm talking about something that I'm passionate about, I get louder and louder and louder, and that's just who I am. So part of my style is that personality, the vibrancy, the excitement, energy. That's who I am. So my colors reflect it. I think my style of speaking reflects it. The way I speak in superlatives, it's just how I've always been. Everything is super extra fun, exciting. And I'm positive. Everything is positive and happy. And that's just who I am and what I'm all about. And if that's not your style, don't make it your style. What's your style? What appeals to you? With that said, when I first started out, I had about, I don't remember, 8 or 10 colors. So that's what appealed to me. And everybody was like, oh my God, you cannot like mix these colors. It's horrible, blah, blah, blah. So I have tamed it down as much as possible to still have my bright colors and still appeal to the masses at the same time and not really scare everybody off, even the people I want to talk to. So, within range, but establish your style. Don't feel like you have to go online and be loud and happy and talk fast. And no, that's my style. You don't have to use my style. One of my partners he's very calm. He speaks very slowly. And, like sometimes I'm like, let's go. But that's his style. And people are attracted to him because of that style. So you want people to be attracted to you for who you are. It's, I was going to say a funny story, but never mind. You don't want people to get on the other side with you and think, oh my God, like who is that person? Right? You don't want to pretend to be this person when you're doing your lives and when you're doing your events. And, yes, obviously, when you're on stage, you're going to up it a little bit, but still who you are. You're going to increase the best parts of you a little bit when you are live, when you're on stage. That I get, but don't change who you are. Do you see what I'm saying? So when you meet somebody at a conference or something else, you want them to say, oh my God, yeah, I totally recognize you. And you're the exact same. That's a compliment. And that means you are authentically you. You don't want somebody to meet you and be like, oh my God, like you're a totally different person. Is that good or bad? Depends on the person. But you've now attracted people to this person, not this person. So keep that in mind. Establish your style. Make sure you're doing you, right, for you. And if that is, going, awesome. If that is taking it easy, take it easy. You don't have to do what other people say. You don't have to do what other people do. If you want to jump out of the thing, right? Honestly, you could do it slow and steady, not by doing 80 things a day, but slow and steady. Will it take you longer? Yes. Will you get there? Probably still get there. Why? Because you're still going to be consistent. You're still going to be building that trustworthiness and still be in somebody's face all the time. Obviously, if you're in the zone, if you're in, the season and you want to go bang, 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 then that's what it is. Can those two people compete with each other? Probably not. If this one can keep that rhythm, this one, will never catch up, right? That's just obvious. However, do you have to catch up? Nope. You can both be here, right? What you need in your life is totally different than what I need in my life. What you want in your life is totally different than what I want in my life. So just keep in mind, your lifestyle might be one where you can live on very little, or where you can live on very little, but you want a lot because you want to do all these other things. Whatever it is, everybody has their own thing. So figure out what that looks like for you. What do you want to give up? Because you're giving it up if you're doing this, right? So it's always a take and give, or what, a give and take, or whatever. So establish your style for who you are so that you can always 99.9% of the time be you. All right, who is Erica Leary? So I have been doing this since like 2007. Remember, I was talking about my story. I got started in 2007. When I went to college, I actually studied business and marketing and did nothing with it after college. I did logistics and did not understand how I loved it. I was fascinated by it, but jobs back then when I started looking, especially for somebody with no experience and no nothing, were like sales and advertising. I was like, I don't even know what that means, but sales. So I did nothing with it until I read The 4 Hour Workweek. I love that book. If you haven't read it, read it. It's Tim Ferriss. And I was on a plane home from Panama to Atlanta. I'm at the airport and I see this book. So I had no more books to read because I'd read everything in English in my house. It was before I did Kindle or reading online or any of that. And I needed a book to read. It's a 4-hour flight. So at the airport, I buy this book. It's still, it's 2007. That's when it came out. It was still in the hardback only. So I had to buy the expensive hardback version. Okay, just so you know, this was like the first and last time I ever even bought a book in the airport. But I bought this book and I don't even know why. I think the colors attracted me. I think it's yellow. So I'm attracted to this book. It's fun and sun, 4-hour work week. I'm like, well, who doesn't want that? So I buy it. Anyway, I read the book and it's not about sipping Mai Tais on the beach, which I guess is probably what I thought when I started reading it, but it was all about outsourcing and leverage and marketing, really. And I got it like this. I got it. And that was my first aha moment of how to do marketing and run a business and blah, blah, blah. So I came back to Panama all excited and I got started. And that's what I did. And so since 2007, started that digital marketing agency and then I started consulting. Back in the day, it was like heyday. No, we had to build mobile websites separately from real websites. What do you call them? I don't even think of, is there another word? I don't remember what the word is. Desktop websites, whatever. We had to build mobile separately back in the day. And I remember that clearly, but people didn't even know what being digital was back then. You can imagine in 2020, people were still trying to figure out what that was. Well, imagine back in 2007. So anyway, fun. I started teaching at the same time, and kind of combination of the two was for me coaching what I loved and geeked out on, and that was growing businesses and marketing and building businesses. Really, I wouldn't say personal brand, but based on a brand and based on figuring out who their market, who you are, who you service, all of that. That was a big thing that really can help a lot of businesses, believe it or not. So now it's personal brand. I love that. If you look over on this side, it's Kim Walsh Phillips. Love her. She's so amazing brand, amazing person. Down on the left is Phil Palucha. He is big on LinkedIn. He does a lot of stuff with South Africa. His wife is from South Africa. Down in the bottom middle, that's Kelly Roach. On the bottom right, that was a stage I was on, actually a TV show. And up on the top right was summit I was on with a bunch of people that I thought really highly of. Dan Henry. When I met him on the backstage, I wasn't nearly as impressed as I was when I saw him on stage and realized what a genius. I mean, this man is genius, right? So Dan Henry, Ryan Levesque, Doug Boughton. I love Doug Boughton. He's talk about authentic. He's super authentic, down to earth. Anyway, super knowledgeable. All right, that's me in a nutshell. Whatever your story is. So my story, was there any tragedy there? No. I realized my aha moment, right? My epiphany was reading that book and realizing what I really wanted to do. And I've spent the last, 15 years, doing just that. All right, 17, I think 17 years. Your consistent voice. Why? Just to give you a hint, this is the next word. If you're keeping notes, this is the next word. All right, so your consistent voice. So what does that mean? That means your message. Your voice, is not your voice necessarily. Well, your voice could be your voice. Your style is part of your voice, right? That's going to be part of it. Who you are, what you're all about, how you talk. That is also the same. But it's really a lot more about your messaging, what you want to say, what you want people to know, and how you want them to receive that. And you can think you know what it is all day long. You can write it down. You can tell it to somebody. But until you really start using your voice, it's really hard to find that voice. What does that mean? Take action. Go out there. Go out there. Go out there. Go out there. Because the more you put yourself out there, the clearer you will get in exactly what message you need people to hear. And for example, one of my biggest messages is, you need to build a real business. You need that foundation. And to build that foundation, you need to build your personal brand. You need to go from that expert level to that thought leader. And to be able to do that, you're building that personal brand. And to be able to do that, again, it's through content. And there's so many reasons why. But in a nutshell, that is my main message, right? But do I have other messages? Yes. Like, do you be you 100%. Don't try to copy what somebody else is. There are 8,000,001 ways to do things, right? There's not just one path. And there are some people who will tell you, this is the way. Well, that's great. That's the way for them. But is it the way for you? And it's the same thing with your time. You don't have to spend 17 hours a day online just because so-and-so is. Doesn't mean you need to. Maybe you're, 10 times more efficient. Maybe you spend your time becoming 10 times more efficient and now you're 10 times more efficient, right? Or later you are. That's okay. So do you be you? That's one of my things. But your consistent voice, you're going to say the same things over and over and over. So think of McDonald's, right? You recognize those yellow golden arches. You recognize the golden arches. Their commercials are always about togetherness, happiness, an experience of being together, that type of thing. Coca-Cola is the same thing. Their message is all about togetherness and experience and happiness and all of that. So you will recognize somebody's voice after a while. They start speaking over and over and over. Does that mean it gets boring? No. It doesn't, because you're saying it in different ways, even though you're repeating yourself 1,000 times over. But McDonald's, how long have they been around? How long has Coca-Cola been around? I mean, we still love their commercials, especially Coca-Cola. We still love their commercials, right? They're always Super Bowl favorites. It doesn't necessarily matter, but you can keep changing the perspective, the view, how you say it. You can literally say the same thing over and over and over, like keep a list of phrases that you want to repeat. I think that's great. We should all have that. And that's the way to make sure that you're consistent in your voice. And just, you don't know what that is when you first start off, right? It's almost like, the things that you repeat, if you have small children, the things that you repeat over and over and over to your small children, you don't know what you're going to repeat to them until you have the kids and they're doing something and you want to repeat a story to them or the same, lesson or whatever comment, whatever it is. So your consistent voice, omnipresence, like I've been saying that for years, I did not veer off that when everybody said focus, focus, focus. I still said focus on one, but be as omnipresent as possible. If you can repurpose, if you can hire immediately, always be omnipresent. So that was always something that I was important with. The other thing is, everybody jumped on like the bandwagon for Linktree. And I was like, no, why? Because marketing principles are tried and true. 1800s. I mean, I've read marketing principles like that go back as far as the 1800s. And as a principle, what you do in marketing is you want to speak to one person about one problem with one solution. See, I studied logistics first. Does anybody hear logistics in that? There's a little correlation in there. Anyway, that is marketing as well. And so when you use a link tree, you've heard the saying of a crowded mind never buys, or a confused mind never buys. That's what you're doing with the link tree. You're giving them too many options. You can do that on your website, but if you're actually taking the time, making an effort to send them someplace, send them to a place, to one thing. Just keep that in mind. Anyway, enough of my consistent voice. Drop me below something that you want everybody to know. What is one thing that you're always saying over and over and over and over and over? So your voice is your messaging, right? It's also how you do the messaging. I'm always like, go out there messy, just do it. Maybe not as messy as I am, but but just do it. Go out there. You don't have to have all your ducks in a row. Nobody cares. All right. Oh, we're almost done. We're almost done. Open engagement. Because of my blindness, I cannot see the time. So we'll be done before time now. Open engagement. This I want to talk about in a couple of different ways. And so open engagement is that you want to be open to engaging with other people. And I'm not I appear to be a very outgoing person, but I'm really not. I'm really like an ambivert. I can be outgoing, but I'm really a little bit introvert as well. So open engagement, doing that small talk just because, not my favorite thing. But relationships I could do, but you have to go through, right? You have to go through the shallow end to get to the deep end, and that it is what it is. So you have to be open to engaging with a lot of people. I don't know if you've seen me talk about the funnel, but if the funnel goes like this, right? It's very wide up here. You need as much to go in there as possible. It's here that you can start forming those relationships. But you can't do it here. So up here, you just want to be as open to engagement as humanly possible. Everybody, engage. Do as much as you can. Encourage engagement so that you start getting inbound. But at the same time, you need to be doing outbound. You need to be looking for people to engage with. So a little quick story, but when I first started living in Panama, the country in Central America, when I first started living there, I had studied Spanish my entire life. Had things rolling around in my head, but when somebody spoke to me, I understood nothing and I could not speak. So I knew that full immersion was the only way to do it, hence going to Panama. But what did I do? Did I just arrive, meet a bunch of American people, and hope that by being in the country through osmosis, it would get into my body? No, I went the open engagement route. Every time I hopped in a taxi, I made up conversations, as many words as I could say, to talk about. Why? Because I didn't know them. I was probably never going to see them again. And I definitely didn't care what they thought about me. So I did as many of those as possible. And I just engaged over and over and over and over and over. And next thing you know, I was fluent. I mean, would you call me like beautifully fluent? No, but I can hold my own. So open engagement is going to, maybe not build your business, but it's going to get you to where you can get to here. And that's going to get you to here. And you need to have that open engagement at the top of the funnel. You need to be creating it and receiving it as much as humanly possible. Practice, if nothing else, right? This is the last one. Undergo evolution. Undergo evolution. So what does that mean? That is your key. Make sure that you are always evaluating. Where are you at? Where do you want to be? What worked? What didn't work? What's working? Dive in. What didn't work? Should we cross it out? Should we pivot it a little bit? One of the big things when I would go into businesses is they would do this and it would be working. And then somebody would say, hey, you need to do this. So they do this and drop this. How many of you have ever done that? Don't drop this, right? Keep this going and add this. If it's working, keep it going and add this. One of my ads coaches the other day was saying that somebody was asking a question about, whether she drops her ads. We were talking about a particular type of ad. She's like, no, never. I just keep adding to it. Why? Because if this is working, why would you drop it? Add a new one. Add a new one. Drop it when it's not working. Pivot it when it's not working. That's when you want to do something. But when do you know? When you are assessing what you've been doing, when you're reflecting. And that's when you undergo evolution. So when I say stay consistent to your voice, right? Is your voice going to evolve? Yes, 100%. If you're the same person you were a year ago, you've got some issues, right? Take a step back and figure that part out. You don't want to be that same person. You want to be evolving. So maybe your messaging evolves. Maybe your messaging stays the same and you evolve. Whatever it is, just make sure that you are assessing and evaluating and making the changes that you need to make and not over changing. Here's what a lot of people do too. Tell me if you've been there. You're like, oh, I'm going to try this. It didn't work. I'm never doing it again. The first time I did ads, I spent thousands of dollars, crashed and burned. And it took me, honestly, embarrassingly, like 2 years before I would try ads again. That's crazy. That is so crazy, right? I didn't have the knowledge that I have now back then, and I didn't understand them. And I just was going on blind faith of what somebody else said and crashed and burned. So build your personal brand, and then I'll help you with those ads as well. But anyway, undergo evolution. Who knows what it is? Drop it down below if you know what the acronym is. And if you are watching this on the replay, I want to hear which one of these you got the most out of, if you're here right now, or if you're watching on the replay. Which one of these did you get the most out of? And which one of these are you going to dive into right now? Again, don't drop any of them, do them all, but which one are you going to dive into? And if you know what the acronym is, drop it below. Drop it below. I'm going to the next page. True you. How many of you got it? How many of you got it? Oh my God, look at that extra E on there. Ignore it. Ignore. True you. All right. So true you. Trust your values. Realize your audience. Screenshot. Unveil your story. Establish your style. Your consistent voice. Open engagement. Undergo evolution. This is a great checklist, right? A great checklist. Every single day, you need to make sure that this is what you are working on in your business, growing your personal brand, and always staying true to you, because that is who people want to work with. You're amazing. You're awesome. You're incredible. You're you. And you want to make sure that you work with people who love you for you. All right. Next week on Elevate and Engage. This is for a show, or I forget what this is for, but anyway, I copied it. The empathetic approach. Keys. Ignore Erica. The empathetic approach I forget how many keys to transforming sales conversations. I forgot the number. I think it's 6. 6 keys to transforming sales conversation. So it's keys. Wholly ignore. Empathetic approach. You get it, right? Sales conversations. It's what everybody says is the hardest part. It's not that hard. We make it hard. We make it be something that's icky and yucky, and we don't want to do it. Well, let's pivot that. Let's change it all around. Let's talk about how we can use the empathetic approach to make that something that you enjoy doing, that's fun, that you look forward to, or that you at least know that you're going to do without feeling yucky about it. So drop any questions you have about sales conversations or DM me. I'd love to hear them before next week. Thursday at 11. I'll see you there. I have one more slide. Don't go away. Oh, I have 2 things to say. Wednesday, June 26th, we are doing empty calendar to fully booked. If you missed it last time, I didn't give that last one too many days. So not too many people were able to be live. If you missed it and you want to be on it, this is a webinar. It is not streamed in Facebook. So if you want to get on it, you've got to get the link. Let me know if you want it and I will send it over to you. It's Zoom only. Also, tonight, I am doing the pre-party for Achieve Goals Now Challenge. If you don't know, I work with another coach, Mike Harrison, and we do Achieve Goals Now together. And tonight is our pre-party. The challenge is starting next week. Love to have you there. Every one of you is invited. I will put some more stuff in the group about it. If you haven't seen any of the reels or anything that I've been doing about it, I will put some more stuff in the group. But if you're not signed up, DM me. I'm going to send you the sign up link so you can get in on the action for tonight, the pre-party. The reason you want to be at the pre-party is because you want to meet other people that you're going to go through with. Plus, we give a little bit of extra tips and tricks. And Mike is a really fantastic, one of my mentors, one of my coaches, and my partner in this. And I love working with him. So you guys will love him as much as I do. If you know that you're not achieving your goals, you're going to want to be there. And that is tonight. And we start that next week. Achieve Goals Now Challenge. It's 5 days. Love for you to be both at the pre-party tonight and next week. All right. DM me if you want any and all of the above. Ciao, ciao. I'm getting off Facebook land. See y'all later.